So hello everybody, welcome back. I hope that you like this series. You might want to watch it from the beginning so that it makes sense. So grab your coffee and your notebook, and if you wanted to share a coffee with me while you're at it, links for that down below. And if you wanted to take a look at any of my books, links for that down below. And here we go with some information. I put it all together in here so that you can kind of understand a lot of concepts and ideas. So my garden was published in an Instagram video from an account that belongs to my aunt and my uncle. My uncle has been doing research on sustainable agriculture for since he's little, and this means that he has over 40 years of experience in a lot of topics that are related to this this growth kind of industry, which is the biosustainability thing. So he does travel through Latin American countries and teaches a lot of people through music and through symposiums, and he also does a lot of trading within some farmers. So you can go into talking to him, and he will go and do like an assessment of your area, and then you give him products, and that is how farmers usually pay a lot of these services. Others will pay by the symposiums and all of these things, so that he can travel and stuff like this. 25 years ago, all of the expenses for agriculture and animal farming and things like this, it was done by universities, and it was huge. To the point in which there were problems sometimes in Europe because some animals were dying and the meat was contaminated, and pork was no longer viable to eat if it was from Europe. But the one from Venezuela was able to do it, was able to be viable to eat and things like this, because the animals were being treated properly. Thanks to a lot of advancements in this type of research, because agriculture is being done mostly by the support of certain companies or by the support of universities that are related to biology majors, industrial majors that are related to agriculture. Engineering, agriculture also is one of those topics. And so universities are huge in terms of promoting a lot of these topics. And so I have several aunts that are agricultural engineers, and they also are teachers. And so they teach they teach the principles which are quite important to understand for sustainability. And one of those principles is the 5 principles. So my uncle came and he said that I got a lot of the principles by intuition when I did my garden. He said that I got it right in a lot of senses, but I did not get it right in others, and that's probably because my preferences is weird. And so here I go. So the first thing that you need to understand is that farming has been done by it has been done through history like a survival mode. So in the beginning, there was no farming, but there was a lot of scavenging and gathering of all the vegetables and things like this. Then people started selecting the seeds, and then they were starting to grow certain things in certain areas. And it was kind of like, I'm going to grow tomato. and I'm going to grow potato in this area, and I'm going to grow this and this. And you did it in a small piece of land that was probably around 10 feet by 10 feet or something like this. And it was just for your family. And therefore, a lot of people bought a small, very, very, very small piece of land. You had a small house in it. And then you have the backyard garden, which was kind of like the size of a room. And in order for you to survive and to make food for your family, you will literally burn, everything behind your behind your house, so that the soil was going to be good for planting new seeds. Because when you are burning something, you are creating charcoal, and you are also creating the pH for certain things when you are going to grow them. So there was a lot of chaos in this situation, because you can imagine that not you do not necessarily have the technology to stop a wildfire. So there was a lot of wildfires. There was a lot of pollution. People did this indiscriminately. It was insane. And then there was a lot of pollution all over, and it was bad, because at this point people figured that you could go into the forest for hunting and things like this, but you could not go into the forest for gathering the things that you wanted to have. And therefore there was like a whole new deal in this area. Then of course there were people that did a lot of this same process. You burn a lot of land, and then you started growing, for example, only corn. And there was an industrial revolution in this aspect, because now the size of the land was huge, and it was in the hands of very big families, or very big companies. The reason being, you're not a company that is actually doing the farming, but you are the company that is providing the fertilizer, and you're the company that is buying all of the production ahead of time for somebody that is producing that. So for example, you go to a farm, and then you said, okay, you're producing potatoes, and I need you to produce only potatoes, because I'm going to sell them to McDonald's. And they need it so that they can produce the French fries. So I'm buying all of your potatoes, and I am giving you the fertilizer. I'm paying in advance, but you will produce the labor, and you will handle the risk. So it was to a certain point, it was a win-win situation, because the farmers didn't, in order for you to do such a large operation, you needed to have so much money. But now these companies are, paying for all of the production ahead of time. And the thing is that, it's also bad for the environment and bad for everything, because if you are going to sell the whole production, then you are not allowed to produce anything in this area other than potatoes. So basically you killed your entire soil, and you are now using all kinds of fertilizers. And now you also require different kinds of water situations. And it's one of those things that will make you entirely dependent upon the production. But it also ensured that the potatoes and the things that are major, like tomato, potato, onions, and there was like 10. There are 10 products that are extremely important, and those 10 are always going to be for the industry. Corn, wheat, potatoes, tomatoes, onions, and things like this that are used by all the industries. And of course, if you're an industry and you're going to sell all this to McDonald's, you cannot just sell to McDonald's, yeah, we are going to sell you, each bag of potatoes is going to cost you $20. That doesn't work, because obviously, you are doing major transactions, and so the bag of potato is supposed to be 50 cents. It's kind of like that. And so the farmers are now into a situation in which, if you were doing, a variety of products before, because before you were kind of like, okay, I'm going to grow potatoes, onions, tomatoes, cucumbers. I'm going to grow these and these and carrots and this and that. Yeah, but I'm only interested in the potatoes. And so I'm not going to pay for the potatoes. And so the farmers destroyed all the local agriculture in favor of whatever the companies needed the most. This also means that they accidentally or unpurposely they killed all the variety in the soil. This also means that they killed the water protection barriers and the water systems in everywhere that they went. This also means that the farmers are now in debt, because if something happens and the potatoes costed you 80 cents, but you just sold it for 50 cents even before you had it in your own hands, now you're at debt. So a lot of farmers went bankrupt because of this, because the pricing that they were offering was not even nearly enough to pay for everything that they were trying to do. And so the whole economy for farming has become a huge problem, huge, because it now has too many people that are involved into the situation. And so this also begged the question that the process was supposed to be done by machinery, trucks. You needed gasoline or fuel or diesel or whatever you want to call it. You also needed a lot of things, and you were basically destroying all of whatever nature had done in thousands of years in this land. You destroyed it, and now you have machinery and you're polluting everything. And now you also have the expenses of the machinery, and you also have a lot of other things and expenses. And you also have the problem about parasites and contaminated water because of animals that people have in the near farmings, especially from cows and from pigs. And so you have huge problems at this point, because farmers are fighting other farmers that are polluting their land, and the money that you're getting is not enough, even though that it is good. You have to deal with spare parts and a lot of regulations. Like, for example, if you're the farmer and something happens to your truck, you are not allowed to fix the truck yourself. You gotta hire somebody who is a professional in area of trucks, and that means that you have to hire an expert, and so you will spend more money dealing with that, because legally you cannot use you're a farmer, and they will say that this is a vehicle, and you cannot have a vehicle being repaired by you, even though that is your truck, and even though that is for you, and you're not going to use it for transportation. But it doesn't matter, because the regulation says that you have to hire an expert. And so making a farm sustainable in an industrial part has been way more difficult than you can imagine. However, some companies have managed to do this by using a lot of technology, including drones, so that they don't waste one millimeter of fertilizer. Because if you overuse fertilizer, that fertilizer it's costing you thousands of dollars. Seriously, it's just costing you so freaking much. So now technology is, now you're hiring as a farm, you're hiring, experts to fix your truck, even though that you could do it. The spare parts, the diesel, the transportation regulations, the fertilizers, the taxes, and the people. And on top of that, you have to have insurance. And then, you have everything is going down the drain, because when you have a system that used to have water before, but now you killed all the plants to produce only the one that you want, that means that you went from multi-cultive thing to a monocultive thing. So basically, you destroy 10, but you're only getting one. You're only getting the potato. You're not getting anything else. And so this also destroys the soil in terms of the fungus and the bacteria and the things that the soil is supposed to have. And so basically, you just turn your land into a wasteland once you are done with the potatoes. And so the whole situation has been killing the forest, the animals, and everything. And then, people were also complaining so much because fruits that you eat will have all kinds of chemicals. And people are kind of like, yeah, this doesn't taste as good as last year. What happened? And it is because, what you put in the soil will affect the taste of the products. And so a lot of people started saying, screw that, I'm going to produce my own food in my garden. And so a lot of people started a revolution several years ago in which they said, let's do everything organic, with no fertilizer that kills the insects, no fertilizer that kills the soil, no fertilizer that kills the water supply, no fertilizers, no chemicals, no nothing. Let's just try to do this as organic as we can. So now we have two types of farming, which is the industrial one and then, the organic one. The problem is that even though that you are producing the potato, you are doing it organically, yes, but you still have the same problems as before. Because even though that now you're not spending a lot of money in pollution and things like this, you still have a problem because you don't have, a multi-cultive kind of thing, but rather you have a monocultive. And so the cultivation is just going to be one thing. You are doing the potato and you're doing nothing else, because otherwise you're not going to make money. And so this whole thing is, it was good because people started to realize that, we shouldn't depend upon so many chemicals and we shouldn't kill all the insects. And we should not, pollute all the water and things like this. And people are starting to try to regain the soil and all of that. And so they became to another type of farming, which is the one that most people are kind of used to the idea, which is a survival agriculture, which is kind of like the one that I have in my garden. I have a little bit of coffee, a little bit of tomatoes, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and that's fine. So I don't have one thing, I have a lot. However, that is kind of like you evolving and being one step to being the best. That's not the best system. The best system to get done and to get everything will be the forest type of agriculture, which is the one that it is being trained in right now. So the forest type of agriculture means that you will create a system within your farm that it acts like a forest. And that means basically you do nothing. You just collect. But in order for you to collect, you have to understand plants. So there are 5 types of plants that you need to know. And these 5 types of plants are extremely important, and you really need to get the 5 of them, despite the fact that, I don't care if you get the type of crop. It can be coffee, cocoa, coconut, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is. The point is that it is in 5 categories, and you must have the 5 of them to be considered like a forest. So the first type of plant is the one that I don't have. And that is because I don't like them, or I used to not like them. And it is the type of plant that is called emergent type of plant. Now, an emergent type of plant will be like a coconut tree, or a papaya tree, or something that you plant, and regardless of where you place it, the roots are going to be kind of like center and deep, and they will not let the tree fall down. So basically, if you have an emergent type of plant, you getting that tree out or cut, yeah, it's going to be very hard. It's hard. And this tree can be placed right next to other trees, and it will not affect other trees. The reason being that this type of plant, it will just grow straight, or at least as straight as possible, and it will always grow between branches, and it will do whatever it takes because it's only growing up. Up. It's like you having a building, And this type of plant goes from the bottom of the building, as in the lobby, and it goes towards the penthouse. And then it goes beyond the penthouse. It goes to the roof. This type of plant is called emergence. That is the one that I don't have a lot. That's why my uncle brought me the coconuts, because he said coconuts and papaya trees and other stuff like that are emergent type of plants, and you need those because those are the ones that attract a lot of birds, and they also attract some sort of wind barrier, and is good for that. So it's extremely important for those things, birds and wind. And so, you want to have those. I didn't have that. My uncle brought them, and then, I showed it to you in the video for the gardens. Then you have high plants. Now, the high plants are basically trees that are huge. Just trees that are huge. These will be kind of like you having mango trees, avocado trees, I don't know, huge trees, it doesn't matter if it is fruity or not fruity, or if it is, flowery or not flowery, it doesn't matter. The point is that it is a big, huge thing. And it has huge sides to it. It doesn't grow straight like if it was like if it was just a papaya tree or a coconut tree, but rather this one is like an umbrella thing. It has very big references in terms of the branches, and so you need a lot of those. Now, at this point, obviously, if you have these for survival, you want them to be fruity. However, that's not necessarily true. You can also have it for producing wood. Now, if you have one of those trees to produce wood, you could turn it into the Japanese version of you producing wood. If you turn it like that, one tree will produce you tons, and I do mean tons of wood, huge amounts of wood, just one. Because Japanese will have like a thing in which they do a bonsai thing with the tree, and it's kind of like on top of the. Think about you cutting the umbrella, right? Because you have the tree, and then you have like the branches that will form like an umbrella thing. Well, if you cut the umbrella a little bit, then from each umbrella you will have like huge tall trees that are growing, and now you have like 25 trees growing on top of one tree, and so now you can cut 25 sources for wood. And it is, Japanese are the best in the entire planet. They are the best in terms of trimming and cutting and doing the things for the trees. It's just insane. And if you have seen the pictures of those things, they are trying to do this in my country, but I don't know if they will be able to do it. But if you want to do it in your house, you could have somebody who is Japanese or something like this, or somebody that knows how to do this thing. You could have it, but if you have it, seriously, this whole thing, one tree will produce you enough wood to produce, several houses. And the worst part is that it grows fast and it's insane. It's just insane. But you will need, I don't know, some sort of, because this wood is heavy. Because, try to imagine you growing 25 trees in just one tree. Oh, God. Seriously, I have no idea how they do it. But they do it. So you need high trees. Then there are the medium trees. Now, these trees, by the way, the emergent type, this is based upon the level of light that you need. Because a forest has 5 type of plants based upon the need for light. It doesn't matter how tall the tree actually is. It's about how much light do you need. You cannot be the roof, you cannot be an emergent plant if you're not in the top need. Meaning, a roof is the one that you go there because there is light there all the time. So, based upon that is why it's called emergent. The high tree will need a lot of light But the thing is that it will produce a lot of shadow. The emergent type will not produce that much shadow. That's why, it's so different. It won't produce shadow because the point is that it's moving and it's doing windy things, and it has other type of things in which it is producing a lot of things for birds. So the high thing will produce a lot of shadow. Now, this means that if it has a lot of shadows, this means that somebody has to be there, but not that much. So these are the medium types. The medium types are plants that require a lot of light, but not as much as a huge tree. They could be like let's say that it is a huge umbrella, and you can put like 2 or 3 trees that are small size, and they are smaller umbrellas. So they can grow because they can still get light, but they don't need that much light as an emergent type or the other one. So, these medium types will be kind of like, let's say, for example, trees that are lemon trees, and trees that are, cocoa trees, cocoa, as in, chocolate trees, the ones that are made for chocolate. And trees that are kind of like that, they need a lot of light, but they could go very well, next or below a high tree, and they will be fine. If they are alone, they are also fine, but they won't develop as good because they also need a little bit of shadow. So it's kind of like, I need a little bit of tiny shadow. So I am in the penthouse. I don't want to be the roof. I don't want that much light, but I still want to have the high view. So, I'm in the penthouse, and then the penthouse will be the high, and then I go, I don't need the penthouse, it's too much space. I just need to be, right there, like, let's say this is a building of 10th floor. This will be like the penthouse will be the 9th and 10, So high will, the medium one will be, between 8 and 6 or 8 and 5 or something like that, It's kind of like, I need the light, but I don't need that much. I can live without it. And, then we have the low type. Now, when you have the low type, these type of plants will definitely, certainly need shadow. They need a tiny bit of light. Tiny. But they will not survive. If you will put them like in a desert or something like that, this type of plant will die. Because they need shadow. They develop, in shadow is where they will develop the best. And so this one will be kind of like the coffee trees that you have seen, those that I have shown you. They grow in the middle, and they are kind of like, not huge. And at the same time, the need for light is not that much. And so if they grow on the shadow of another shadow and things like this, so if you have a huge tree and then a high tree, and then you have a medium tree here, this small one will be the best, because it has the protection of the one that is medium and the protection of the one that is high. So it's about you putting them all together so that the emergence can go anywhere. And by the way, the emergence, you need them in all places. And I do mean all places, because you need protection from huge water things and also from the wind. And so, you put them everywhere. It doesn't matter where, you just place them everywhere. You don't put them all together in one corner, you place them, everywhere. And then you got the emergent, everywhere. You got the high, the medium, right there next to each other. And then you get the low, which you put in between. And so it's very, very, very important that you have all these 4 type of plants in your garden. Because if you have these 4 type of plants, you will have a forest system. This means that all of the insects will be present, because the insects that are there will also attract birds, and they will support one another. So insects that belong to the low type of trees will feed on fungi and other things and other animals that attack the medium type. And things that are surrounding this type of tree will be, eating or attacking the ones that are attacking the high ones. So it's kind of like, yeah, I'm here, yeah, help me, I'm giving you shadow, so help me. And then the other ones will be, yeah, I'm just going to put you here, so I'm going to, I'm going to support you with more humidity or whatever it is that, so each one will support the next. So you have the emergent ones that are supporting the birds and supporting the wind and supporting other stuff. Then you have the high one that are supporting all the other ones by shadow. And then you have the medium and the low that are supporting all the life of the insects and all the life that are supposed to be happening in there. And then, of course, at this point, you have the level that goes below. And at this point, you got the subterranean level. At the subterranean level means you have fungi and you have bacteria and little things that are growing in the soil and make the soil alive. And these things will also make sure that all of the insects and all of the things that are in your garden will maintain water. And so you don't need to water your plants every single day, because these things will help them. And if you throw a lot of leaves and a lot of things, the little things that are in the subterranean level will take care of the leaves and will take care of everything by producing the compost. And it will also help with the smells, the bad smells that happen when you have animals and when you have all kinds of trees and things like this. And so you are supposed to have all of these things together, and you need them to work like if it was a forest. Nobody in a forest never cleans anything. The subterranean level, or whatever creatures that are in the subterranean thing, will clean everything. And the low plants will make sure that everything goes good in terms of insects and in terms of protection for everybody else. And then the medium one will make like a shadow thing, and it will protect the other side, and they will protect the water and the humidity level and everything else. So if you are missing one, for example, you're missing the high, then you're probably going to have a lot of problems because you don't have enough shadow. If you're missing the emergent, you're probably going to have problems because you don't have enough birds and enough windy things and enough root things that are supposed to also connect. Because the point is that you have huge interconnections between the subterranean level, and it connects with everything. And so you need different kinds of roots and different kinds of pH and different kinds of things. And all of this is made when you have a balance of all of these things. And so it's quite important that you understand this one. So I didn't have enough emergence, like I said, but now I do. And so my uncle explained this in the video. By the way, my garden got a lot of likes in the video, and then a lot of people were kind of like, yeah, I love the idea of having so many things, yeah, and so it was good. And then you also can have branches that you can cut from each one of these type of tree, and you can make small islands. And these small islands, you can put them like compost things in which you can grow other stuff like tomatoes and other stuff. In the subterranean level also, you will have the edible roots like carrots, onions, potatoes, sweet potatoes, and so forth, cassava, etc. So the subterranean level will produce you a lot of food. And the thing is that the subterranean level, you gotta be careful with the plants that are in the subterranean level because you cannot see them, and they will attack all the other plants through the root. So for example, if you grow ginger or turmeric in this thing, this subterranean level will be so aggressive towards all the other roots that it will probably kill all the other plants around it. Unless you have huge, and I do mean huge, emergent type of tree, because the emergent type of trees will not, they will act like a barrier for all the other subterranean kind of plants and roots. So you gotta have like traffic lights and stuff like this, and this is why you also need the emergent type, because they act like you are not passing here. No, because if you grow turmeric and all of a sudden the mango tree that you have is dying, is probably because the turmeric is eating the root away. And because, the subterranean level, you don't see what is happening, but there is a lot of war happening, to the point in which, there has been studies by people that are trying to understand, war, actual freaking war between trees. It's like you have a tree and your neighbor has a tree and they hate each other and they will have a subterranean war. And oh my god, you should, oh god, the research about this one is just, you go kind of like, what? No, seriously, what? No. What? No. Yeah, it's insane. And also, you gotta understand that if you have humidity and you have water, then you have fungus, and at the same time, this type of fungus may or may not be edible, or may not be, one of those things that you really want to understand. And it's important because at this point, if you have an organic type of situation, and then everything turned into a forest, you went from an organic to a survival. So everybody understood, if you have a survival garden, everybody knows that one is tomato, this one is like this, and that one is like this. But if you have a forest type, now you will have a lot of things that you probably don't understand. And that means, you will have fungus. And if you have kids and they all of a suddenly, start messing around in a garden, and they decide to eat whatever it is in there, they might eat a fungus that is unedible. And so, in order for you to avoid all of these problems with the fungus and things like this, you can actually grow edible fungus in a lot of these areas. I'm not going to do that because I have my daughter and I have my dog. And so, but I do have a lot of fungus, by the way. So every time that I have fungus near whatever place, I do try to get them out, because I do not know if they're edible. However, I am guessing that they are. I mean, I had at least, a couple of people that have told me that this is one of the best fungus in the entire planet to eat. But I don't know. So, and my uncle hasn't told me anything about that. And also, from the low type, you also will have a lot of flowers. Flowers will attract, like I said, huge amounts of insects, and they will also attract bees. And if you have bees in your there are a lot of type of bees, by the way, that you can have. If you have a lot of bees in your garden, you could create a beehive so that you can get honey. This is, of course, if you do not have anyone near you that have allergies. So whenever you have this type of garden like mine, you gotta be aware that you will have a lot of wasps, and you will have a lot of bees. And so what you do is that you can actually take these animals and place them in a location that you feel comfortable with them being, or you can take them to the next side, and they will work. So there is a lot of people that will use this environment to take advantage, and they will create the beehive in the middle of this thing, and they will have like 2 or 3 beehives. And it's a very big deal, because if you can have honey, just by getting out of your garden, a lot of people are very, very, very happy about it. Also, if you don't want to kill the bees, because seriously, the bees are extremely important for all, and I do mean all of the crops from the entire planet. And then, if you have the type of forest agriculture, the hydric stress for your plants is going to be very low. I mean, you will still need to water the plants once in a while and stuff like this, but it's not going to be, huge work. And at the same time, the hydric stress for you and even the environment surrounding you will be better. You will have other type of sounds all over. You will have different type of everything, and you will be more connected. It will be kind of like you living in your own small paradise. You can make forest agriculture in your garden, because for forest agriculture, all you need is to combine these 5 levels in your garden. It doesn't matter how you do it. but you do it all connected. So you don't need, huge things. Just understand these things like that. And of course, at this point you will have animals that are eating the plants, and they are eating the diseases, and they are eating all the fungus away. And you will have animals all over the place. And so when you're having animals, like I said, you might have, you might need to teach kids about not messing around with animals that they do not know. And you might need to also not be so afraid, and have the animal control number, just in case that you encounter yourself an animal that it is too big for you to handle. This also means that you might need to put fences that are proper for a lot of the animals that you will be attracting. So for example, if you have your backyard without a fence, and you are near other areas that are big, you might have deers. Seriously, you will have deers coming to your house. And that is so good, by the way. If you have deers coming all over you, your kids are going to be like, Mom, that's Bambi, I want to take a picture. Mom, it's Bambi. Yeah, kind of like that. But at the same time, those are not the only animals that you will be, you will have to worry about. Because when you have a forest type, you will have a lot of animals that are, like that. So, having said all of that, then thank you for watching. See you again soon.